Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. I hope everybody has enjoyed their week so far, and I hope that everybody enjoyed that awesome, warm, amazing day that we had yesterday. Um, the weather today is a little warmer than our cold days, but not as warm as yesterday. Yesterday was a really nice day. So let's go ahead and get started with what we're going to do today. So today we're going to be recounting stories and finding the central message again. So, this is for face-to-face learners only. This says, our essential question says, how can I determine the central message of fables, folktales, and myths? And also, how can I recount the events in a story? So what we're going to do today is we are going to review some vocabulary words for this unit. We're going to read a story called King Midas's Touch. You might have heard that story before. We are going to recount stories using the somebody wanted but so then method. We're going to complete a graphic organizer telling the central message and how we know that is the central message. And then you're going to have a chance to practice all these things on your own with your own passage later. We have this video that I'm going to start with first. It's just the video is a minute long. I'm going to be reading, it's almost 2 minutes long. I'm going to be reading what it says because this video has no sound. So just keep up with the video. And if you need to watch it again, you can obviously go back and watch it again. So, what is a myth? We need this video to start playing. Okay, so I cannot get this video to work, so we're just not going to watch this video. Let's just skip it. So we have an open-ended question, and since you're at home and you cannot, since you're at home and you're not able to fill out this Nearpod lesson, I want you to think, what is central message? What is a moral? What is a lesson? Those are some vocabulary words that we go over every single day. And so I want you to see if you can tell me or tell whoever you're at home with, tell a stuffed animal, tell somebody what a lesson or moral or central message is. Go ahead and do that. All right. So what is a lesson? A lesson, or other things that we might call it, could be central message or a moral. A lesson is what a story can teach us. Here are a few examples of a lesson a story can teach us. It can teach us to be kind to others, that lying is bad, fighting will not solve any problems, do not talk to strangers, honesty is the best policy, and being different is okay. So, true or false? A folktale is a true story that teaches us a moral or a lesson. All right. If you said true, that is incorrect. It is false. A folktale is a fiction story, which means that it's not true. But a folktale does teach us a moral or a lesson. All right. True or false? A fable is a fiction story that teaches us a lesson or a moral. That says or a mo. I'll fix that. All right. That was true. A fable is a fiction story. That means that it's not real. And it usually has good versus evil. All right. So we're going to be reading this story called King Midas's Touch. I'm going to make myself a little smaller and I'm going to put myself right on his stomach. All right, so we're going to be reading this story called King Midas's Touch, and then we're going to go through and we are going to answer somebody wanted but so then. Then we're going to figure out what the moral of the story was, and then finally we are going to I'm going to tell you the code word for the video for today. King Midas's Touch. Code word is potato. The code word is potato. All right, King Midas's Touch. Gold is something that many people have loved for many reasons. A man named King Midas, however, loved gold more than anyone else in the world. A Greek god was speaking with King Midas one day and offered him one wish to to reward him for being a great king. Since King Midas loved gold so much, he wished that everything he touched would turn to gold. His idea was that he would have a limitless amount of gold and would become a very rich man. As King Midas walked home, he turned flowers, trees, and grass into gold. This filled him with happiness and more greed. Ooh, that word greed. Let's keep that word in mind. When he got home, he decided he needed a rest. As he crawled into his bed, though, his as he crawled into his bed, though, his once comfortable bed turned into gold. This was now a place that he could not sleep anymore. He tried to eat some dinner after that, but realized all his food was turning to gold, which became inedible. King Midas was beginning to realize that he had made a mistake. Just then, his daughter ran into the room and jumped into his arms. She turned to gold, and King Midas cried and begged for something to save her. The Greek god came back and turned everything back to normal. He hoped to teach he hoped to teach King Midas a lesson about his greed. All right. So for our graphic organizer, it's going to be an individual question. So I want you to ask yourself, who was the main character in this myth? Who was the main character in this myth? And then write it down somewhere, tell somebody, tell whoever it is. The main character in this myth was King Midas. Notice how I wrote in a complete sentence and I didn't just say Midas. We want complete sentences. So the main character in this myth was King Midas. What did the main character want? What did the main character want? So what did King Midas want? Remember, if you need to go back to the story, you can always do that. King Midas wanted to wish for King Midas wanted to wish that everything that he touched turned to gold. That sounds great. That sounds great, doesn't it? That sounds fantastic. I'm sure King Midas thought so too. But now he has this wish, and everything that he's touching is turned into gold. But what is the problem in this myth? What is King Midas going through that is the problem? The problem is that everything he is touching, including his food and his daughter, is not turning, to gold. That sounds like a big problem. Could you imagine if you were going to pet your puppy and your puppy just turned into solid gold? That would be heartbreaking. All right. So, how did the character try to solve the problem? Well, he didn't. And sometimes the characters don't try to solve the problem. He did not try to solve the problem. He just started crying. So he didn't even try to solve the problem. He just started crying. And then, how did the story end? What was the resolution of the story? In the end, the Greek god came back and turned everything back to normal. Everything back to normal. All right. Now, we have to ask ourselves, what was the central message of the story? What did the character learn? Well, in here, they even tell us, the Greek god tells us that he was trying to get, in the last paragraph, that he was trying to teach King Midas a lesson about his greed. So King Midas learned the lesson, the lesson that King Midas learned was to not be greedy. This means the central message or moral of this story is that being greedy is bad. So we don't want to be greedy. We always want to share, and we always want to have good, positive intentions in our heart. This last one, it says, "What events?" When it pops up, what events in the story help the character? Lord, what events in the story help teach the character a lesson? So, what happened in the story that made King Midas learn his lesson? Well, everything that King Midas was touching turned to gold. And since that's what he wanted, we have to be more specific. He could not sleep in his bed because it turned to gold. He could not eat his food because it turned to gold. And he could not even hug his daughter because she turned to gold and he could not even reverse the curse. All right. Finally, the Greek god turned everything back to normal and taught King Midas a lesson. All right. So when you are typing your responses later, this is the type of response that I expect, that all of your teachers expect. We expect a well-written response. Tell us what the moral of the story was. And then tell us what events in the story. Give all the detail that you can. Don't rewrite the story because that's not what we want. But we want you to just give us specific examples from the text of what events helped the character learn a lesson. All right. Finally, when you get into Canvas today, you are going to be doing a practice on your own called Pandora's Box. It's gonna pop up. So you're gonna be doing Pandora's Box. Click the gray box below to access today's assignment. Read the passage on slide 1, underline important information in the text. You're going to complete the graphic organizer on slide 2. You're going to answer 2 questions on slide 3 about central message. And on the last slide, you are going to drag the picture for the code word. All right. So you're going to be reading about Pandora's Box. You're going to fill out this graphic organizer. Somebody wanted but so then. You're going to type the title Pandora's Box and not the author. Go ahead and get rid of that. And then you're going to type, what is the lesson of the story? And then what events in the story help teach the character the lesson? Just like what we typed for King Midas. And then finally here, you're going to drag the picture over for today's code word from the lesson. Whichever, I said one of these words in this video, and you're going to drag it over. All right, after that, you're just going to hit submit and you'll be done. Have a good day. Bye, guys.